The president has put forward a blueprint for reopening the economy, despite repeated warnings from health officials about the risks of relaxing safety orders too soon. Meanwhile, small business owners are facing tough decisions about the futures of their companies. The lack of funding from the Paycheck Protection Program, the small business grants, and the mismanagement of the system, which allowed big companies access to small business funding, is only the latest in a long list of concerns over the handling of the coronavirus response. Banks, which were faced with thousands of applications within minutes of the program opening. An independent bank CEO told NBC News' Stephanie Ruhle and Ben Popkin that it was, quote, a stampede through the eye of a needle. Banks, however, have faced their share of criticism. In a recent interview, billionaire investor Mark Cuban laid a portion of the blame on banks creating hurdles. Listen.
This is the point right now where banks and Treasury have to get their act together, and the Treasury has to say to banks, loan money first, ask questions later, deal with fraud later. This is that inflection point. It's right now, as we're speaking, that we are at an inflection point where money has to get into the system so small and medium and even large companies retain their employees.
And with me now is that man, Mark Cuban. He's an entrepreneur. You know him. He's the owner of the Dallas Mavericks. He's one of the sharks from Shark Tanks. Dr. Tony Coles is also joining me. You know him, too. He's the chairman of the Black Economic Alliance, executive chairman and CEO of Cerevel Therapeutics. Gentlemen, good to see you. This is an important time, Mark. This is not, I think the point you're making is this is not a time to intellectualize this. I'm in Manhattan. I walk outside. Almost everything is shut down. Small businesses do not keep afloat. You know them well because you see them at the front end on Shark Tank. They don't keep 8 months and 10 months worth of cash flow around. They also don't have the sophistication to be the first ones through the gate when the bank opens the door for the loan program.
Yeah, you're correct. And they don't have the relationships just to call their banker and say, put me up front. And so we have to learn from the mistakes of the original tranche of PPP. We have to adjust. We have to make sure that the bankers, again, don't try to finesse this and get the money to the people who need it the most. They know their customers. They should know who needs it right now, and they need to move forward and get it funded. And, you know, the fact that we're delaying the second tranche just makes it even worse, because by the time the money gets approved, by the time the banks then approve it, we may be so far down the road, most of those small businesses are out of business.
Tony, I want to pull up an editorial from the New York Times editorial board in which it says, stop dawdling. People need money. An antiquated financial system is slowing distribution of federal stimulus to families. Policymakers are making things worse. Mark, in his CNBC interview that we just quoted, talked about fears of fraud. The smaller you are, whether you're a regular person or a little business, and the distinction between being a regular person and a little business in America is often very small. You're funding it on your credit card. You're funding it with people, your friends, your family, places like that, and they don't necessarily have the abilities to work the system as well as they could. Talk to me about your perspective, because you're talking to small businesses.
So let's frame this conversation just a little bit. The reason there's a stampede through the eye of the needle, according to the headline you reported a moment ago, is that analysts estimate that the small business need, the amount of money we would need to prop up small businesses, is somewhere between $1.5 and $2 trillion. $350 billion were allocated in the last stimulus package. So there is one of the biggest problems we have. We don't have enough money. There's now a conversation about an additional $250 billion, but that will still fall far short of that nearly $2 trillion that we talked about just a moment ago. If you complicate that by those small businesses, let's say minority small businesses that have the greatest need, the minority small businesses oftentimes act and operate outside of the formal commercial and retail banking structure. They rely on commercial development financial institutions, credit unions, small local banks. So if there aren't funds designated for these so-called CDFIs, those small businesses that require them the most won't have access to them. So whatever we do in this next phase, we really need to pay attention to those institutions that will get funds where they are most desperately needed for those businesses that may not survive. That's the problem.
Mark, earlier this week you spoke to Trevor Noah on The Daily Show. You know, I just talked about universal basic income, and that's a sort of a separate issue. But you talked about minimum wage. You said in the past a lot of people would talk about trickle-down economics. I think one of the lessons we're going to learn from all of this is it's time for trickle-up economics. We're only as strong as the base layer of all of our employees, and all of those people who struggle, who get paid hour by hour and don't know how many hours they're going to get. If we don't take care of them, there is no economy, and we're learning that very quickly right now. Mark, we're in a time of change. What change should we make?
Well, number one, I think a federal minimum wage of $15 is critical. Now, a lot of people might say it puts small businesses at a disadvantage, but the reality is, as long as everybody's playing by the same rules, then we create a consumer base where people are actually able to afford to buy things. So that's part one. Part two is we have to start instituting protocols for small businesses to follow if and when we get open up. Because right now we talk about masks and we talk about, public health, and those are all critically important. But we just presume that all small businesses know what to do to maintain safety standards, and we don't. And on top of that, we don't know what the costs for those small businesses are going to be, and we're not taking that into account. So there's so many things that still need to be thought through. But number one, first and foremost, is that people can't afford to buy basic goods, whether it's groceries or anything else. There is no economy.
Tony Coles, the federal minimum wage right now, which, by the way, a lot of states have, is $7.25 an hour. That's $15,000 a year. If we go to what Mark is suggesting, $15 an hour, that's $30,000 a year. It's still not a lot of money, but those concerns that small businesses share to say, look, I'm going to have to lay people off. If I've got to go from $8 or $9 or even $10 an hour to $15 an hour, I've got to lay people off. Now, what Mark is saying is over time, these people will have more money. Our costs will probably go up, but we will accept that there's a new higher base and everybody's playing from the same rules. How does that conversation go with small businesses whom you represent?
Well, I think we have to look at the need for continued support for small businesses. So we've got to ensure that Americans can be paid a fair and a decent wage, that they have a job opportunity. And this is a precise place where the Small Business Administration can step in and support whatever shortfalls that might exist in these small businesses, as we have this very careful balancing act between paying people a fair and decent wage and ensuring their health and vitality. We've talked about the fact that entrepreneurship in the Black communities in particular has increased nearly 34% when all other racial groups as entrepreneurs have decreased over the last 10 years or so. So there's something magical happening in the Black community and in the minority communities from a small business point of view that needs to be promoted. We just have to figure out a way to thread that particular needle.
Gentlemen, great to see you. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for your good thinking on how we do get back to work, because it is true that Americans want to get back to work, but they want to do so safely. Investor and entrepreneur Mark Cuban and Dr. Tony Coles, chairman of the Black Economic Alliance, executive chairman. Thanks to both of you.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.